All right. Without further ado, we got the weekend edition of the Pocket Change Market Report for the January 12th, 2025 day. We're gonna go back about 36 to 48 hours of sold data on eBay. We're going to assess some of the coins that have sold there, things that folks like you and I have found, whether it's going through large amounts of change, I suppose. Coin roll hunting is another big activity where you could find some of these pieces. But also, let's not forget, there are quite a few people that actually go to coin shops and big shows, or little shows, or medium shows, to cherry pick a good fair amount of these. Because if you could pick them up at a low price, unattributed, for any variety or error, and then turn around and flip it on, a hot spot like eBay, where you have a lot more collectors at your fingertips, you could generally sell them for quite a bit more money. Because making profit at the end of the day, that's why we sell on the platform. And eBay is going to have its detractors. I've heard it time and time again. Sometimes I'll have an issue with it as well, on occasion, depending on what it is. Say someone, claims that they haven't received or anything, or, people just get kind of trolling on you because, you're asking a certain price for a coin that you have for buy it now. And they think that you should give it to them for free. It's going to have those type of things. It's inescapable. You just gotta kind of, roll with the flow, I suppose. But today, as of today, 2025, the eBay has been a very, very great platform to sell on, since the millennia. Over 25 years, eBay has been one of the biggest places, and it's injected a lot of fun into various different types of hobbies. So yeah, that's the reason why I continue to do this week in, week out. Is it truly shows you the depth of the sales that we see on eBay. Even today, things haven't changed. People are gravitating toward this platform to buy and sell. All right, so we're going to take a look at those coins here momentarily. We do have a little bit of a I guess, calendar of events. Okay, Friday, my Friday show a couple days ago, I made a huge announcement starting March 4th, and I've been kind of priming you guys up here, and this is the kind of one of the biggest reasons why you should join is anticipation for the launch of the March 4th campaign. March 4th is going to be the first day of the next quarter for the rewards tier system on Whatnot. All right, so you start out at bronze, and then you go up from there, to silver, gold, and all that stuff, all the way up to diamond tier. So we have officially talked about doing a big giveaway event at the end of the second quarter of the rewards program that starts on March 4th, and it goes on for 90 days. We will be giving away some pretty big things, including a 1-ounce gold eagle. We will be giving away one of those coins. That's $2,500 value piece on Whatnot. We will be giving away one of those to one of those distinct members that have hit one of the larger tiers. All right, so that's kind of a big reason why you get on the platform anyways, is to participate in that. And it's not all. That's that's not even the tip of the iceberg, folks. We're giving away thousands of dollars and other things as well. Nice high graded coins. We're giving away more bullion. It's going to be awesome. And the only way that you can participate is by taking part in some of the sales that you see on the platform, specifically Blue Ridge Silver Hound, because that's my promotion come this spring. All right, it's going to be very exciting. You see the QR code right there? That's going to be your gateway to signing on to Whatnot. If you haven't done so already, now's the time to do it. You can win yourself something pretty big. And we do shows every Friday, but once March 4th rolls around, we're going to be doing 3-4 shows a week to give a lot of people opportunity to hit some of those large, those top tiers in the rewards program, and subsequently be a part of what could be a huge, massive payday for a few lucky individuals. So more to come. We'll be talking more about that as we get closer to that March 4th promotion. It's going to be huge. You know what else is huge? 2025 is huge as well. A lot of big new coins going to be coming out this year. Okay, we're less than 12 months away from the semi-quincentennial event, 2026, 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It's going to be a massive, and we are counting down the months for that. Again, this is going to be kind of a big deal this year. So please do join up. And not to mention, we're going to be doing like vault boxes and all sorts of other great stuff in this calendar year. All right, so join today. And I also have the referral link posted in the comments section of this video or down in the description box if you prefer not to use the QR code that you see on screen. All right, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these auction listings and their realized sale prices. We're going to kick things off here with a coin from our neighbor from the north, 1982 Canadian penny. Obviously, struck off center is what we see on this one. The market for Canadian errors couldn't be any more robust than it is today because there's less of them out there compared to U.S. equivalents. But at the same time, Canadian error collectors are very passionate. They have deep pockets, and they're willing to buy some of the premier pieces if and only if they do show up. All right, so this 1982 here is off center by about 20%. It's sold for $33.94 Canadian. All right, so that's kind of how we're going to kick things off here, and we have more. We have more good stuff. 1894. This is the 1894 over 1894 repunch date Indian had set. Not a particularly high grade specimen. All right, this one has seen a fair amount of circulation wear. And it's been everywhere. It's got grease and dirt and all that stuff caked on the coin. Far from perfect, but that's okay. Who could argue with a copy, any copy at all of the FS 301 Cherry Picker's Guide variety? So on this particular one, you're going to notice most specifically, and the strongest repunching is going to be on the 9 and 4. You can actually see the top tip of the 4 is doubled on there. But you could also see the doubled 9 as well on that right side. Again, a crazy coin. If you were to have this particular variety on a much higher grade specimen, these things tend to go up exponentially value-wise. Now, this one right here, I consider to be more of a floor coin because it does have issues. It's a lower grade. This one sold for $35.98. So $30 to $40 is generally the floor for the 1894 over 94 repunch date variety. Be on the lookout for these. These things are simply amazing. I could see the perfect scenario where you're at a coin show going through a bargain bin. You find this thing for like $2, and that's what cherry picking is all about, is that you find those unattributed coins that you could resell on eBay later on. Again, eBay is a much larger platform with a much larger interest within its customers. So please do take advantage of that. And good news, the marketing is free if you use eBay's platform. Another neat one here. Boy, this thing is such a high-level coin. It's very clean, very minty red, and it looks like it was minted yesterday. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that this one probably undersold by a little bit. I've seen other examples of the same kind of grade and appearance sell for almost double what this one did. But in any event, we're talking about 1988. This is a Philadelphia minted Lincoln Memorial set with what we call the flared G on Frank Gasparo's initials. Okay, so this one is the Flare G variant. It's also referred to as the FS 901. It's another great Cherry Picker's Guide variety. Someone kind of stole this one for $59.50 with 8 bids. There was actually one I believe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that sold, that was like circulated. Like you could tell the thing's been out and about. Same exact variety, same date, Philadelphia minted coin example. And it sold for what I believe to be more than this. It was like almost $70. So, yeah, someone did come away here with a really nice one. If I were him, it would probably end up in a graded holder, which, you guys know me. Grading is not the end all be all when it comes to coins. I know there's a lot of people that are talking about coin grading these days and how it's like a major necessity to become relevant in the hobby, and it's simply just not. And then, there's coins like this, that possibly could grade as high as a mid-state 66, which will make it like a $500-$600 coin. And it's like, well, how can I not do that and take advantage of, making a few $100s on it? I mean, if the opportunity's there, Miles will do it. And that's also kind of like cherry picking off of eBay too, is recognizing opportunities like that. Here's a neat one here too, albeit this is an incredibly scarce date. This is a very tough date. 1924S, Standing Liberty Quarter. This one is what they call the Clashed E on the obverse, and I'll show you exactly where that is. This is such a nice coin. I looked at it, you can see the wingtips and the detail on there on the reverse, which leads me to believe that this one is like a VF35 XF40. It's a very desirable coin for type as it sits. But there is a cool, neat little variety. I believe this is in the Cherry Picker's Guide too. When we look up close here to Lady Liberty's kneecap, and you look inside the drapery right there, just to the left of the knees, you're going to see like a clashed letter E. And that's actually the letter E that's on the reverse of E pluribus unum, right? So, again, pretty neat. There are a few dates where you could find this clashed E in the drapery. This is one of those dates, but it is a very tough date. This one sold for $97.75. I think most of that is just the date. The date supported the dollar value on this one. If this one turned out to be like an AU 55 or higher, man, the prices go up quickly on these. I mean, we're talking like $200, $300, $400, $500 in like no time at all. And then by the time you get to like a mid-state 65, this thing is multiple thousands of dollars. It's that tough of a date. Next one that we have here, 1983 Lincoln Memorial Set. Now, there's something going on here. When you look at the front of the coin, there's like an empty area right there, on what looks to be an impression or an indentation. And this is what we call an indent. Okay, so indentation, pretty close. We're using the prefix indent to help describe this one to a T. And what ended up happening here is that there were two planchets that were overlapping each other in the striking chamber. All right, so this one obviously has a secondary coin that fits it like a lock and key. All right, and it's a pretty cool mint error. They're worth a lot more when you have the second coin that matches it. Which, these days, considering that it's like over 40 years ago, kind of tough to do. Kind of tough to find that matching second piece to go along with this one. But in any event, this one sold for $12.97. I have a feeling that there were a few people that were sleeping at the wheel on this one too. I generally see these sell for like $25-$30, and then they just go up from there depending on the coin. Next one that we have here, another neat one. This is a 1950s Lincoln wheat set, but you're going to notice that the last date of the last digit of the date is missing. And not to mention that you have a pretty weak strike there on the right. You can see that the rim isn't completely formed on both the obverse and reverse. All right, so this particular one, this coin was struck on what we call a tapered planchet. Tapered means that it's the right tolerance or thickness on one side, and then it gets skinnier as you move across the coin to the other side. So this is probably more, when they're flattening out the strip. This is probably an end piece is what this one is. And, when that side there, the right side's thin, even before the coin is struck, you do know that it's not going to strike up all of the devices, because when the presses are calibrated to mint a specific coin, they're calibrated to the thickness, the natural thickness of that coin, or whatever it's registered for it. So if there's an area that's too thin, it's not going to strike up all of the devices. Okay. So this one right here, tapered planchet strike, $10.73 was the final sale price. And yeah, again, another thing to be on the lookout for. I've come to find that these exist more in the Wheat Cent series than the Lincoln Memorials. Although I have found a few Lincoln Memorials struck on a tapered planchet before, but not nearly as many as the Wheat Cents. The quality control wasn't as well guarded back in the day during the 40s and 50s. So this would be a good opportunity if you are an avid Wheat Cent hunter, like you like to go through large bags and batches of these things. You can find something like that. Another Indian head cent. Man, we got some Indian head cents today. 1908 Indian head cent. Defective planchet. We have a split planchet on the reverse there. It could possibly have been a clamshell lamination that got torn off at one point. And this one sold for $75.58 with 19 bids. Very nice. We have a 2-coin lot here featuring a 2001 North Carolina state quarter that's struck off center by about 10%, and a quarter blank planchet. It's a Type 2 with the upset rims on there. There's a look at the reverse. That's a Philadelphia minted North Carolina quarter. The state quarters of any sort of error, especially off-center strikes, are collected today by state. Full series are being put together here on this one. So pretty neat one here. This one ended up selling for $36.58. All right, pretty cool. Nice little grouping here on this one. And of course, the blue chip coin that you guys need to know about, because we are 1 year away from the 250th anniversary, was the old 200-year anniversary bicentennial quarter, or half dollar, or Ike dollar, any of them. It doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all gravy, because these coins today, because of the upcoming celebration next year, they're being kind of pursued right now. Now, here's the caveat with this coin that you see here on screen, which is a very, very minor broad strike. But even still, any mint error that you find on a bicentennial coin is pretty big. Now, someone did get away with a cheap deal here. This one sold for $24.90, whereas I've seen other examples sell for about 2 to 3 times this on a bicentennial quarter. Someone got a steal here, but just wanted to let you guys know that these things are going to be popping up a lot more on eBay as we get closer to 2026. It's going to be exciting. Make sure you're looking at all of your bicentennial quarters, both P and D mints, your proof strikes, your S mints, your 40% silvers. I'm telling you, they're all performing at the highest level right now, and understandably so. They are kind of a big deal. Next one that we have here, oh boy, man, this thing's pretty rough, but we do know that it is a legitimate mint error. 1996 Jefferson nickel that was struck through a lot of grease, and that helps kind of support the fact that the strike is generally pretty weak. Our good old friend Tommy J doesn't even have a nose, so that's what's happening. And then you can see some general weakness, especially on the outer peripheral edge of the coin, like where all the letters are on the obverse and reverse. So both sides, both dies had a copious amount of grease on there. Again, the grease is used to help lubricate the moving parts of the mid press, and that's why it's being used. So oftentimes they'll kind of lay it on thick, and then they're gonna have to still strike coins at this particular juncture. They're not gonna be able to remove all the grease off those dies, so they're just gonna keep plugging away. This one right here sold for $7.99. Now, a lot of that has to do with the condition of the coin. It's pretty beat up. But just to let you guys know that even though a coin looks like this in this grade state, $8, that's cool. I mean, many multiple times face value. Take it while you can. All right, a little bit of paper money today, not nearly as much as we used to have. 1977A, $5 bill. Obviously, there looks to be like a miscut happening or possibly a misaligned print. And I'm willing to bet it's more of a misaligned print on this one. And the way that we'll know is if we look at the reverse and the reverse is perfectly centered, then we're going to conclude that the secondary print, which is that base print of the front of the note, is misaligned on the sheet. Okay, probably affected other notes as well. Okay, well, not too bad. The reverse images are a little bit out of focus, but yeah, it's pretty well centered here on this one. So this example sold for $76.58. Okay, there you go. So definitely worth some money. If you do find these, always pull them aside. They are worth some money. Here's another one right here from the same seller, I believe. 1985 $1 bill with a partial back-to-front wet ink transfer. So you have some of the reverse design mirrored, transferred and printed onto the front of the note there on the left side. All right, very well-known paper money error. Let's see what the reverse looks like. And don't be afraid to avert your eyes if you need to. How can you nail the front picture so well and then do this and butcher the crap out of the reverse? Okay, that did happen. It's, again, from the same seller as the previous note because even that one had a very, very fuzzy reverse. This one sold for $87.58 with 3 bids. Again, there's a lot that we could learn here, as in being patient and taking your time with your images because you'll know if it's out of focus. Just look at your phone, look at your camera to make sure that you took a good picture. I mean, you can't make this up. How this one would escape anybody's mind is beyond me. Really neat one. I found a total of 2 of these in my whole coin collecting life. And they're neat as heck. 1844 over 81. This is a true blue overdate on this what we call braided hair large cent. All right. Not the best looking example. The seller had said that this one might be right around like a fine condition coin, which is like a fine 12, fine 15. It's a little bit rough, but if you need an example of this cool overdate, there you go. Kind of hard to see, but you can see the top flag of the 1 in the top of that 8 there. And you can also see the top curl of the 8 on the first 4. Right up top. You can actually see both curls on there. So yeah, this one, even in this condition, this is a very valuable variety in just about every grade. And this one takes the cake. It's sold for $88.77. Like I would sell them all day long in VG to find for that amount of money. They are very valuable. The one I had was a little bit better than this one. I ended up selling it for like 110. Cherry picked it for what I believe was like $40. So I did okay on it. And it wasn't attributed by the original owner as an overdate. And, again, that's what you look for. You look for those opportunities where the other owner doesn't know that they had something, neat and valuable and even more valuable, and that's the name of the game. All right, I had to put this one here too. I mean, the coin's neat. We've seen a lot of off-center struck coins on this particular stream, but you gotta admire the background on this one. It was taken out in the woods, ladies and gentlemen, right? 1984p, Jefferson nickel, 45% off center, I suppose. Sold for $36.64. It makes me want to go out for a hike tomorrow. I'll be honest. That's how cool it is. 1926S Buffalo nickel. Holy shit! This is a very, very tough date. Now in lower grades, they're not nearly as tough, but you do have a full readable date, and you have the mint mark on the reverse. Now this thing is pretty well worn. It's probably good condition. The reason why this one is on here is because it has a lamination on the obverse. You can see it right above the date, going into the feather detail there. So this one sold for $20.50 with 10 bids. And probably most of that is all due to the date. The date, it's very tough. It's one of the keys of the series. 1983 Lincoln Memorial Set. This one was struck through a very late stage capped die, to the point where that die is, or that cap on the die or that coin is razor thin, like paper thin, to the point where some of the original design devices from that hammer die transfers through the cap and then onto the host coin, which is what you see here. Now, coins that are struck through cap dies oftentimes will have a hammered strike on one side and a very weakly struck other side. Generally, for these coins, it's going to be the obverse. This one sold for $41.01 with 11 bids. It's a pretty good sale, and that falls right in line with other sales of this particular mid-air. This is what we call probably one of the more common dates and decades for this anomaly. Pretty neat one here. No, this is not an Indian head set. Instead, it's a Civil War token. It's a 1863 Broas Pie Baker. They were a pie company or whatever, pie restaurant in New York City. So Civil War tokens were produced by the vendors because there was a lot of hoarding of regular circulating coinage, like U.S. Mint coinage. So as a way to combat that, the vendors had no choice other than to produce their own monetary system. Same way with like obsolete banknotes and things like that. So this one is on the list, and this particular Civil War token or store card is notorious for all sorts of mint errors. This one has like 3 or 4 cuts on the front. You do see where "We Stand" is on the front. Those are all cut die breaks. Pieces of the die had cracked and fallen off at various intervals of the striking process. So obviously they did not give a care about quality. So they kept using the dies to the point where they are just illegible. So this one right here sold for $35.08 with 12 bids. The version with the shattered die obverse and the die clashing on the reverse, which is a huge error, that one tends to be the big seller of this particular merchant. Those typically sell for $100 plus on any given day. All right, they still do to this day. Neat one here, 1955. Although this Franklin $half is far from perfect, it looks like honestly it's been cleaned multiple dozen times. It's just got that unnatural shininess to it. But if you're an eagle eye, prospector looking for the next big variety or mid-air, yeah, we got a good old Bugs Bunny Franklin over here. This is a legit variety. There are a number of dates where you could find Bugs Bunny. This one right here is probably more Vampire Franklin than a Bugs Bunny because it's got some sharp teeth. That is actually a die clashing of the eagle on the reverse of the coin. Yeah, did you guys know there was an eagle on the reverse just to the right of Liberty Bell? Yeah, that's what it is. It's just simply a die clash right on the upper lip of Franklin. Perfect placement too. This one sold for $28.99. I've actually sold nice gemmy mid-state versions of this Bugs Bunny for $19.55 for right around that same price. So the seller did truly remarkable here, doing a buy it now kind of listing, and someone just picked up on it and swept it away. Man, really nice example of a 2,000 piece Sacagawea dollar Wounded Eagle variety. FS 901, a really big cherry picker's guide variety. This one right here has that marquee die gouge. You see that what looks to be a spear going through the breast feathers of the eagle right there and into the wing. That's what you're looking for. This is a very common variety / error type. I've owned a number of these over the years. This particular one sold for $129.58. That's how valuable it is. It's been been rumored that about 40,000 of these were struck, and that's a lot. That is a lot. And some of them are being found even to this day in vending machines, like soft drinks and things like that. So one to be on the lookout for. They're very valuable. They sell for a shitload of money, and I would never ever pass these up. If I have a handful of these golden dollars, the ones from yesteryear, from like this the first year, because they made millions of them in the year 2000. Look at every single one of them. And again, these are Philadelphia minted coins. Oh boy, yeah, 1928 G $2 bill, star note. Even the star is still very very applicable. 100 years ago, when they were used as replacements. Okay, now obviously there's a little bit of a miscut thing happening here. Look at that, the margins, especially the top and bottom, and how crooked the note is. Yeah, so the ultimate form of irony here is that you have a star note printed with multiple errors on the note, and yeah, this one is definitely a miscut. Very, very strange, but when you do find them, there's like, man, that's cool. Very collectible if a star note has a paper money error on it, by the way. This one ended up selling for $101.79. 41 bids. Very active auction. 1998 Washington Quarter, another beauty here. This thing is, what is this thing? About 80% off center, give or take. If it had a mint mark, you wouldn't know what it is because it's, parts missing on there. When it's this far off center with a full readable date, that's where they tend to be more expensive. This one sold for $66.16 with 5 bids. 1998 P Jefferson nickel, a huge centered broad strike. So the collar wasn't present when this thing was struck, which means all the metal flow continued to kind of like squish outwards beyond the reasonable tolerances and shape of the coin. That's how you ended up with this. And it's very well centered. The more centered it is, the more they're worth. This thing, I would imagine, is probably bigger than a Washington quarter, because I've seen them bigger than that. So very impressive. Again, this shows you that you don't need to grade anything. Like this one, a lot of people say, "Oh, I gotta grade it. It's just neat." No, you don't need to, because it sells perfectly fine, without the graded holder. Case in point, $76.05 with 20 bids. That's the going rate for this coin. It doesn't matter if it's in an annex slab or raw. That's the number all day long. Boy, what a gem. Oftentimes we find this one pretty well beat up, but a 1982 P candy $50 for all you roll hunters out there. Yeah, be mindful that this one is worth way more than any piece of silver you will find out of a bank box. 1982 P candy $50. This one is the infamous no FG reverse initials. Frank Gasparo, again, missing from this candy $50. Here's a little close-up of the area where the FG would be, which is in between the tail feathers and that bottom leg there, and that little crux, that little empty area. You can actually see the little marks there where they've tried to grind or polish off that area away. But there was probably like a die clash at one point. So this one in a much nicer condition sold for $43.98. You can turn that around by 4 90% half dollars. 4 90% silver half dollars for this good old silly thing here. All right, pretty neat. I got to go back and look at my 2015 Lincoln Cents for this one. Long, huge, bisecting die crack. I mean, you guys see it right there on the obverse. Going from in between the I and N and in God We Trust there, all the way across the coin and just above the date. And this one was actually a 2-coin lot because they also added in this 1995 Lincoln, also with a nice long die crack from the edge right there where States is, going through the E and E pluribus unum and into the top of the memorial there, although you don't see it go all the way across. So for the two coins combined, obviously the 2015 was the standard bearer on this one. $31.09 with 6 bids. All right, you guys ready for just a super atomic banger of a coin? Check this thing out. 1982, um, penny on dime. They call this a double denomination error. So the host coin is the 1982 Roosevelt dime. Okay, so it's a copper nickel clad. Well, this thing somehow ended up in a batch of Lincoln cent planchets. So this thing was struck in a Lincoln cent press, or at least a mid press with Lincoln cent dies. So this already struck Roosevelt dime was struck by the Lincoln cent dies, thereby creating what we call an 11-cent coin, because it's both a dime and a penny. When you can see like both designs very robustly on this one, man, that is super cool. So this double denom, very expensive, $1,275. Again, the inclination is let's go ahead and just grade this thing, okay? And 9 times out of 10, I would agree. This one probably deserves a graded holder, just to kind of like back up the fact that this is such a rare and valuable piece. Some people I'm sure have attempted to fake this error. It's not particularly easy unless you had like your own dies made of it. Again, that's a huge ask. It's going to cost a lot of money to produce something that you might break even on. And speaking of something that I haven't seen at all, 1967 Canadian quarter. Okay, these are silver. In case you guys forgot, 80% silver. So this one was struck on a split planchet. So the planchet was already split in half from the edge, and then it was forced into production. And this is what it looks like. A lot of general weakness, but you can see the kind of like the grainy striations on the highest points of the devices of the coin, because that's the original surface of the planchet before the coin was struck. $179.57 with 2 bids was the finale on this one. Crazy one. Again, 1981A $1 bill with a misaligned black overprint. They got the green correct, but the black did not work. There was some sort of malfunction on the plates here on this one. Obviously, the back of the note is perfectly fine, although this one was found immediately right out of the bank strap because the thing has no circulation wear whatsoever. Not at all surprised at the sale. $339.99 was the take-home price, and someone did pay that here in the last couple days. 2-coin set, and the same seller actually sold a few sets of off-center struck statehood quarters. He also had a 2-coin lot of South Carolinas, but these are the New Hampshires. Both Philadelphias, both off-center anywhere from like 10-15%. And the duo sold here, it's 2 coins, not 4, because I have the front and reverse images all in one image here. $72 was what this one went for. And then the final coin for the day, I saw this listed and I was within moments of hitting the buy it now button because I've never owned a true legit off-center large cent. Even though there's no readable date, this is an off-center matron head large cent. It's off-center by about almost 20%. It's huge. Pretty big deal here. I felt like that this one was a true bargain. Now, granted, we don't know what date it is, but that's okay, I guess. Me personally, if I were about ready to buy it, and then I just forgot about it, and it only lasted like half a day on eBay because it's sold for $174.95, like lickety split. Like you could blink and this thing would just be gone, just like that. So yeah, I mean, there you go. That was one that got away from me, and there's plenty more that will get away from me over time. There's always a coin that I'll look at and just kind of like sit there and kind of, I don't know, not really second guess myself, but more of pure laziness. Like, oh, I'll just come back later and buy it, and then just like, it's gone. opportunity is gone. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this one, guys. That was a lot of fun. Man, a lot of great stuff this week. Information in this video is for educational use only, not financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly like normal. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Hopefully, this video gave you guys some inspiration to go out there and, do some hunting on your own. Lots of great shows. Florida Fun Show is happening right now, I guess. Yeah, it's cool. A lot of great things. A lot of great shows coming up here throughout the spring and, the waning moments of the winter months. Now's the time to get started. If you're going to be making eBay a part of your, kind of like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, now's the time to do it. Do not wait. Especially when 2026 and all of its craziness is right around the corner. There's going to be a reason why you should join not only eBay, but also Whatnot, and then do all the social media. We'll be doing a lot of videos kind of tying all of those things together. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Love you guys. Have a great, great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week coming up, and best of luck in your hunts. All right, I'll see you guys later.